That's cool.
Okay, so I think we're live. I'm going to go over and check. So hey guys, if you're jumping on, say hello, please. Say hello, give us some hearts, some thumbs up, let us know that you're here. And I'm just pulling it up. I'm going to share it real quick. Yay, I see us. See us? I do. So it's on my business page, just so you know. Meg, if you're looking for it to share, I just shared it to my personal page too. Yay. Here we are.
I think my computer's still trying to find it.
Awesome.
Oh, because David shared it.
Yeah, I just saw that. It just showed me. Sweet. So if anybody is jumping on, obviously give us a minute for everything to do its thing. And we should be good to go. Or we can get started in a sec. Awesome. This is so cool. I love this. It is really cool. Yeah, it's like legit. Well, I was wondering how everyone else was doing it, because I was seeing all these lives with people like kind of co-hosting, you know?
Yeah.
And then when I tried to do it, it was showing up in the little screen. I'm like, well, that's not fun for anybody.
No.
So, all right, sweet. Here we go. I think we're good. Awesome. I'm going to close it on that end. Oh, so David says that we sound good. He can hear us.
Awesome.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, sir, for the reporting. All right. So the cool thing about this, and the reason I love these, is because everybody can watch on the replay and it's pretty much there. And then when we're done, at the end, I will post Meg, I'll post your info and stuff at the bottom.
Awesome.
So people can get a hold of you. And make sure that, okay, cool. I just pulled it up on my phone so that I can make sure I'm seeing comments and we're all good to go. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. I'll let you guys know that we were going to be doing this so we can try to answer some questions and shine a little light on this super confusing world that is health insurance, especially for those of you who own your own businesses or that your like employer doesn't offer insurance coverage or something, you know, you're kind of on your own. I know myself, I went through that and I didn't really know what to do. And it was really frustrating and scary. And I didn't even know who to trust. And it was a situation where like, I kind of had to put my trust in someone else's hands. And I've had several people who are entrepreneurs come to me and say, hey, Jamie, like, what did you do for health insurance? I don't know what to do. And just ask a bunch of questions. And there's one thing that any of you know about me. I do not speak out on something I'm not educated on. Like, I will not pretend like I know what I'm talking about if I don't know what I'm talking about. And so I started thinking, and I got a hold of Meg because I knew this is what she does. And I'm like, what do you think about hosting a live stream where we can kind of just give some information and answer questions if anyone has it? And she was like, well, hell yeah, let's do that. So here we are.
Here we are.
So basically, yes. So that is what we're looking for. You guys know that I'm all about being efficient and effective. And that's one of the things that her and I discussed before this was like, why spend hours or even days of your own time looking up stuff that you don't understand and you don't know where to look when you could speak to a professional, an expert that knows where to look and knows what to look for you anyways. And it's just, especially as a business owner, it's just the most intelligent thing to do. So that is why we're here. And that is why I brought Meg on to talk to you guys. And I'll give her a second to kind of introduce herself and let you guys know what she does.
Yeah, so I'm Meg, and I am a licensed health insurance consultant. I am personally contracted with every carrier. So with that, I am a one-stop shop for everyone who comes to me. I really like that aspect of part of my business because a lot of agents are captive, meaning they're only contracted with one carrier. So they only offer one option. Me, I get to get a nice bird's eye view of all these different companies. And the best part is that, I can kind of pick and choose from these companies what we work for, and I get to become an artist and find the best plan that's going to work for this individual who's sitting right in front of me, whether it's individual, family, or even a group policy. I become an artist and I play with all these different policies to fit for that certain situation, because not every situation is going to be the same. Everyone's going to be different.
Absolutely. That's the coolest part too. When we started, and I didn't necessarily, guys, even know that whenever her and I first started talking about this, because a lot of places, like she said, a lot of people aren't. Like when I got my insurance, everything set up when I first started my business, I was clueless. Like I didn't know, and I still don't even necessarily know what his deal was, but he set me up, right? And so like, we're good for right. It's been good. Like obviously, when when it's up and I'm ready to do it again, I'm going to go to somebody that I know can actually shop around for me. Obviously, now that I know that that's an option, so that's even the more convenient and like efficient factor there. You know, one of the biggest parts I think of truly like owning a business and starting your own business is really scary.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear stuff involved, but nobody thinks about this side of it, like the responsible person side of it. They're like, it's really scary.
Because most of the time you have an HR department that does it for you.
Exactly. So this side of things is not something that people are thinking about. And so then one day they're like, oh crap, I don't know what to do. I need to do something about this. And, I'll tell you that most of the people that I talk to don't have coverage. When I ask them why, there's usually two answers. One is they can't afford it. And then the other is that they have no idea what to do. And when I dug a little deeper, most of it was they just assumed they couldn't afford it. They didn't necessarily know the cost. They assumed it was going to be expensive because when they used to work for a corporate job, their part of the fee was expensive. So they just assumed. Right. So nobody ever even asked. And that's where I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to figure something out here.
No, and that's you're absolutely right on that. And a lot of people that I've talked to just this week, a local sheriff's department here in town, they've raised their prices. And the first place I looked was online, and they got completely lost. And then they just happened to find me as a referral here on Facebook of, you know, the best place to find information. And they're like, I was completely lost. I was on Google and I did not understand what I was looking at. And that happens. And that's why people end up not getting healthcare, is because they get so frustrated and confused that they just say, screw it. So.
I mean, absolutely. They're the same reason that people who need, you know, like workers' comp insurance or to set up for example, like a patent or a trademark, they just don't ever do it until they have that phone call that's like somebody's suing you or somebody stole your idea or whatever. And it's because it's confusing. And so no one knows what to do. So they just have like the best of intentions, but don't actually typically follow through. Yep. So you're in, or the world, I guess, is in like open enrollment right now. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So open enrollment. Open enrollment pretty much is an open enrollment period for mainly the sick. When people come to me and they say, do I need an ACA, which is an Affordable Care Act plan? I say, are you sick or not? By sick, I mean something major. Have you had a heart attack recently? Do you need ongoing treatment for something, whether that's, you know, physical therapy? Did you get in an accident? You have to have a prosthetic limb. Do you have back pains, or even migraines can be needing for, you know, if you have migraines, you might need an ACA plan because you need ongoing treatments. Big stuff. If you're not sick, then no. Another reason why someone might go on an ACA plan for open enrollment is for maternity. Maternity really is not covered outside of an ACA plan.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Perfect. Because I know you always hear that it's open enrollment, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
What does that mean? Yeah.
It sounds like I'm supposed to, though.
I get that a lot. I've had a lot of emails from current clients who are like, all right, what do we need to do? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, am I supposed to do something with my health insurance? I'm like, what do we need to do? And they're like, I don't know, it's open enrollment. And I'm like, well, has your health changed at all since the last time we talked? And they'll say no. And I say, okay, we're just going to leave you where you are. No, we don't need to do anything.
See, there you go. That's why I asked, because I'm like, I can't be the only one. There's no idea.
No.
I'm looking over here and we have people popping in and out The numbers are moving around, which is awesome. So if anybody's live and they have questions, please enter them at any time. We're not going to like wait till the end to answer questions.
Yes.
Anything that you have as you're popping in, go ahead and ask that question now. And then if you guys are watching the replay, go ahead and do that too. Meg and I are both obviously tagged in this. So between, if it's just, world related, I can help you. If it's healthcare related, she will help you, or health insurance related. But we'll get you an answer. So if you're watching the replay, still feel free to comment with your questions and we will make sure to get you an answer for sure. A lot of people tell me, they're like, I don't ever ask questions on the replay. I'm like, why not? We still get notifications. So I always make sure to say that. Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. Because usually if you ask the question when it comes up in your head, that's the best time, because you're going to forget.
Absolutely.
So one of the things, if we get any questions that come through, again, like I said, it's totally, the number of people is kind of altering there, how it goes up and down. But one of the things, so what would you say is like a suggestion that you have for someone, whether they're self-employed or just like uninsured in general? What would be your suggestion to them for like what they need to do to get started to figure out how they can get coverage?
Just talk to somebody. I know that can be really hard because you go online and you enter your information and you're going to get 20 to 30 calls right off the bat. Find someone, ask your friends, ask your family who they are working with for their health insurance, ask if they know anybody, and talk to somebody. The main chunk of my book of business is referrals. People who know me because of someone who they know. That's really just all I would suggest, is just talk to somebody. Tell them what your situation is, tell them what's important to you, and go from there.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's awesome. I think some people also get freaked out because they have to give, I've heard this before, people feel like they have to give a lot of information in order for you to be able to like give them a quote or deal with any of that. So do you kind of want to tell them that how, like, what's the norm so that they know what to expect?
Absolutely. So my process works like this. I let them talk. I say, so what's going on? The information that really all that I need to get a quote is your date of birth, your zip code, what your health history looks like for the past 5 years, and what's important to you. Do you just want medical? Do you want medical, dental, and vision? Does cancer run in your family? Do I need to have some extra cancer coverage on you? Do you work in construction, that you own your own business and you don't have that employer coverage? Do I need to add some extra accident coverage on you just in case if something were to happen? Just questions like that. You don't have to give me your social security number and your address and all like that right up front.
Like give you your firstborn child, right?
Yeah, none of that. Real basic information. Just like I said, every situation is different. No plan is the same. There's not a one size fits all plan. So you got to tell me what you're looking for, what's important to you.
See, and that's a great point too, because a lot of people don't realize that there's not just a one size fits all plan.
Oh yeah.
And you also made a great point too about, what, like your lifestyle, like say that you rock climb for fun. You might want to, tell your insurance rep that.
And, I do get some people where I can feel like the hesitation in their voice. And I'm like, you have to tell me everything. I mean, I had that a couple weeks back and I'm like, you have to tell me everything about your health. She's like, oh, well, I had strep throat. And I'm like, that's okay. Even if it was major stuff. I had someone earlier this week that like, well, my husband takes a prescription. Okay, what does that prescription look like? She's like, well, for depression. That's okay. You just tell me these things. Like, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you.
Right.
So
that's good to know. I can see people being. Yeah, we have 2 questions, I think. Well, one was so I can actually watch this. Oh,
that's so awesome.
Isn't that so cool? Can you read it? Can you see it?
Yes. Okay. So it says, did I understand it correctly that there is no longer a penalty to not have health insurance? Yes, that is correct. There is no tax penalty when it comes to not obtaining an ACA compliant plan. Now, you will still have some tax advisors who are still trying to push the penalty. If you have a tax advisor who tries to tell you that you have to pay the tax penalty, get up, go out the door. find a new tax advisor. I do consult a lot with my clients when it comes to tax season. So if you have any further questions on that, I'd be more than happy to help you. There's a whole laundry list of things that you can tell your tax advisor, and legally they cannot ask you any more questions and they have to push it on through.
Good to know. I didn't know that. That's a great question, Rick. Thank you.
Absolutely. I get that all the time.
Oh, I'm sure, because that was really scary. That was everyone was freaking out. They're like, and obviously we don't want to get taxed more than we have to, but then you're getting taxed, but yet you can't afford the insurance. It's just like an ugly circle.
It comes down to you don't know what you don't know. Our political party systems want the people scared. That's why people are like, I don't want to get charged the fine. You don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. That's where I come into play. And no, don't be afraid of our political party systems. They're not going to come after you.
Well, right. And and that's the perfect thing. Obviously, we don't know the answer to that question unless we ask somebody who is educated on it, and that's your expertise. So awesome.
Absolutely.
And then the other comments were in regards to the same thing.
Awesome.
Let me see. So I'm going to break that down. See how cool that is?
I know. I like that so much. I'm like trying to look at my phone, but it's right there.
Super cool. I love it.
And I'll also Jamie will post my information after we're done with this. So if you have any further questions later on down the road about the tax, when it comes to tax season, just keep my information handy and we can talk about that.
Yep. That's exciting. Anybody and any of you that are actually on my mailing list, also when we're done, I will email this out with Meg's contact information and a link to the broadcast. And then also, obviously, I'll post it in the comments and stuff too, or up in the top part of the post. Let's see here. I waited until the new president pushed the revoke through to file my fiance's taxes. There you go. Yeah. Do what you got to do. Do what you gotta do.
Yep.
I love it. Let me make sure real quick that I'm not missing anything. It's funny because I jump between my personal page and my business, and I just want to make sure. Sometimes Facebook doesn't like us. Cool. So awesome, you guys. I see we have a lot of people live actually right now. So if you have any questions, please feel free. There's no stupid question. This is definitely a very tricky conversation or a tricky subject that we don't know. So I sat down with Meg for coffee and literally just asked her a ton of stuff. I was like, I have no idea. I can tell you how to run your business all day long.
All day long, yeah.
Health insurance is not my thing.
That's okay.
It was funny. I'm like, I kind of feel stupid. She's like, don't. Okay, good.
No. Never would I have ever thought I'd be a healthcare consultant, but here I am.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you see now Meg runs her own business also. So she also understands where a lot of you guys are coming from with your concerns. So that's the other reason that I was like, we have to talk.
Yes.
All right, sweet. Let's see. All right, cool. I guess basically, so then once you have a client, if they come to you and you find them, the options for coverage and they choose one, if they have questions or issues or I know, for example, myself, when I haven't met my deductible yet, I get bills in the mail or something like that. Sometimes they're confusing and they don't make any sense. So it'd be nice to have somebody that I could actually speak to about that and ask questions. So what is that level of support once you actually have somebody that becomes a client of yours?
Fully hands-on. Most of my clients don't even have to bother calling the insurance company themselves. I will do it for them because I have my direct line of contacts are a lot quicker than the client's line of contact. So my clients know that when they have an issue, I'm fully hands-on on that issue. They can come to me with bills, any sorts of questions. I get it all the time. I'm fully hands-on.
Awesome.
The life of the policy. Even if you canceled your policy for whatever reason, I tell my clients that are, now going towards a different option, just because I'm not your agent anymore, do not hesitate. Keep my number. I'm always here to answer your questions.
Yep. I'm the same way in my business. So I totally understand that. We have another question. So Andrew asks, do you handle life coverage as well?
I do have my life license. I am not so much hands-on the life side, although my business partner in my office that I work, of course, with daily does handle life. I can hand you his information if you want to talk about life insurance. Absolutely. He also does more of like a retirement investments as well as the life insurance coverage.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great
I'm more
question.
so hands-on with the healthcare.
Awesome. Very cool.
We can also post his information about the life.
Sweet.
Yeah.
One of the questions too is, what would you say? I know a lot of people are scared to get coverage, and so there's like two fears. It's like a double-edged sword. I feel like people are scared to get coverage because they're unsure, but then they're also scared, obviously, to not have coverage because what if something happens? So not to like put the fear of God into anybody. So please, guys, know that that's not what I'm trying to do. But I just want to kind of just be real for a second, because I don't think a lot of people realize this. So what happens if you don't have coverage and, God forbid, you're in an accident or you have to go, to the emergency room or something happens?
It's really tough. I do have a story about that one. I had a client, and to save on money, they canceled their health insurance policy. Even though I advised them not to, they still canceled because they did want to save money, which at the end of the day, that's their decision. I get a call a couple months later. This client was crying because she was on her way to the hospital because she had to have an emergency surgery. Unfortunately, there was not anything that I could do. And they're stuck with a bill, a pretty large bill, for a long time. It does. And that we see this a lot. And I have those conversations where the prospect's like, I just don't want to pay for it. I have stories I could tell you, laundry list of stories. I mean, we had a client last year who obtained coverage for his wife and his kids, but not himself. He was the breadwinner of the family, and he fell off his roof hanging up Christmas lights. He didn't have the health insurance for himself, and they're still trying to pay that bill. And he had to take off work for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, so it's super unfortunate, but I mean, again, like it's real. That's real life. That's why I asked the question, because it's definitely real life. And one of the things that I think is really just powerful about that is this is, again, a part of life and being responsible and taking care of the stuff you need to take care of that a lot of people don't take necessarily as seriously as they should, because while you may not have to use your insurance all the time and you don't want to use your insurance all the time, look at it the same way you do your household. Like, what happens if your house catches fire and you don't have coverage? You've lost everything and there's nothing anyone can do for you. It's a preventative measure, which I think is what people seem to miss. People are so quick to insure their cars, their houses, their boats. I've seen people insure baseball cards, but the last thing that they will insure is themselves. You get one of these. One of these. You can get a new car. Who cares about the baseball card at the end of the day? Like, you get one body. You need to insure it. That's Absolutely. A very good point. Like, think about people that go in and get insurance for like jewelry. You get an engagement ring and you go get it insured, which I get. Like, I totally understand. But why would you not use the same principle and the same thought process on your own health? Because people are like, oh, I'm healthy. I'm like, well, absolutely. And that's awesome. But things happen, number one. And why would you not just want to be prepared? Because if something happens to you, you can't work.
You're not in full control of what happens in your life as much as you want it to be that way. You don't know what's going to happen. So you always have to be prepared, especially if you're a breadwinner of the family. You have to do what's going to be best for you and your family, because if something happens and you have to take time off from work and you don't have policies to back that up to supplement that income, it could get bad.
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, and you know what? Another scenario just popped into my head. I actually recently had a friend of mine who he works for a contractor. He started working but he's an estimator. So he's not like actually out doing the work in the field in that position, but he started his own business where he's actually in the field doing the work. And right now it's just him. And he spoke to a couple people and they're like, you have to get this, and this, and this coverage to cover yourself in case you're injured. And like, again, I'm not an expert, but I was like, that's so incorrect. It's not. And that was just a business standpoint of coverage. And I was like, no, like that's wrong. You only need this certain kind of coverage if you have a team and blah, 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 blah. And so he's actually probably going to be calling you, because I was like, you just need to talk to somebody who understands, like, as the breadwinner of that business, the business owner, the person who's actually in the field doing the work, what kind of coverage you need to cover yourself if you're injured, not only to cover your health or your like actual medical bills, but the other stuff too.
And there are policies like that, and we put those kind of policies on people all the time, that it's going to pay you a cash amount. Like, here you go, here's X amount of dollars that you can, yes, use towards your bills, but use to supplement your income if you have to take time off from work. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's huge, especially when you're an entrepreneur. Having that coverage is pretty much priceless. Like, I was talking with someone about just upgrading my business the other day, and he said, you know, right now you're trading time for money, basically. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And he said, so what happens if you have to take 30 days off work? I'm like, my business shuts down. He's like, yeah, that's not cool. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
So same scenario, you know, people put a lot of time and effort into creating passive income or those types of things in order to prepare for needing to be out of work. Why wouldn't you do the same thing in being insured, so that you actually, if something, God forbid, did happen, you literally didn't lose your entire business and livelihood.
Right. You don't want to be draining your lifetime savings. So.
Right. So that's big. So that's the reason I asked him. We kind of went down a little rabbit hole there with that, but I think it's important.
It's okay. It's good. I love it.
Well, yeah. And I think a lot of people don't look at it that way, because it's just one of those things. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to deal with it.
Oh yeah. Just slide it under the rug, act like it's not there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then, you know, it's just the ugly things you have to look in the face sometimes and just handle it and get it over with.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Let me check and see. Oh, we have a message from Pat. It's not a question. He's just being nice. That we're awesome. Just
love Pat.
Thank you, sir. You were awesome too.
We love you, Pat.
Yes, we do. Very true. So I think it's cool. Like, here's the thing, guys. This is like my new jam. Like, this interview process is totally going to be happening across the board. So
yeah,
you want to talk to us more? We will set it up. We will be here.
Fine.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. And it's such a more convenient way of getting out a bunch of information and working together. So I think that's really cool. Let's see. All right. So there's still several people live. If you guys have any specific questions, go ahead and jot them in. I mean, we're clear here to hang out for a while. We already talked about, we got our dogs under control, and like, my dog's going to go crazy. She's like, my dogs are going to go crazy.
Got them on lockdown.
Yes. So that's what I need, doggy insurance. I like kicked myself in the ass for not getting it.
Yeah, they have that. I don't have it on my pups, but it's something that I definitely need to look into. It's not even that much.
It's not. And so what they do is you pay up front and they reimburse you. It's like 70%, I think is what it is. I used to work at Animal Hospital way back in the day.
Oh, nice.
But so I can tell you about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of some people, gosh, knock out like $5-6 grand. I mean, you're going through it right now with your pup. Something happens, it get expensive. It's just like us.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do? Let your 3-year-old dog like not ever be able to put his leg down again, or do you get it fixed? Like, you get it fixed.
Maybe I should get into that field, sell some animal health insurance.
How cool would that be? You totally should.
Cool. I really would be a one-stop shop there.
Seriously, you could insure the whole family.
I could.
That'd be awesome.
All the way down to your canary.
Yes, I love it. That's very cool. Let me look here. So my questions were mainly, I was going to also just ask you too, like how you help your clients, but you basically more than covered that. What's the other thing? So I think that some people assume that if they have a family, it's going to be impossible for them to afford. Like, everyone assumes that I speak to. They're like, it's thousands and thousands of dollars. I could never do this. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm sure there are more options. And you obviously need to figure out what you need to do. But do you think that that's a big factor too? Like, some people literally have children and that they don't have insurance on, which I think is crazy.
Absolutely.
But
I see it all the time. Absolutely. Again, it comes down to you don't know what you don't know. We have quite a few clients who are large families. You're talking 3 to 4 kids plus 2 adults that run their own businesses. And we can find a very affordable price for families. We're with a lot of kids, 2 adults who run their own business. That's not going to cost, $2,000-$3,000 a month. The way the independent market works is people wonder why the independent market is so affordable is because it's 1, not going to cover maternity, and it's 2, not going to cover pre-existing conditions. So that right there knocks off a huge chunk of what you would have to pay on, an ACA plan, which you pay for those no matter if you're going to use them or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really great information because, obviously, again, you don't know what you don't know. Like, I don't know that stuff, but it's super interesting because it is a big factor. Because I know, like, for example, when I worked in corporate, it was part of my job to sit down and make sure that the guys had the packets and had the contact information for their health insurance.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd have these guys come and I would be taking $2,000 to $3,000 a month out of their freaking paychecks to pay for their families. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And so, but again, it's very different. And and I think a lot of people don't recognize that either, that what you provide is completely different than like the locked in thing that your business or like your old job used to provide by chance. So it's still open. The reason I'm saying this, guys, is like, don't assume that you know.
Right.
Because you probably don't. There probably are different options. Like, look, even that question earlier about the taxes, like that just changed.
Yeah.
So always just ask somebody who's an expert because they're the most up to date and educated on it.
Always ask. And then when it comes down to employer coverage, ask questions. Some people just take the employer coverage just because it's convenient, which I understand. Convenience it can be awesome, but when you're talking about health insurance, don't just take it. Read what they have to offer. If you don't understand it, you can reach out to me. I can look at the overview and see if that's going to be a fit for you or not, because it can either go both ways. It can either be a perfect fit, both for coverage and the price, or the complete opposite. I'm actually pulling a lot of families right now off of their employer coverage because it's just astronomical, and putting them on independent coverage because their employer, it wasn't good coverage and it cost so much. I mean, they were literally forking out little more than half of their paycheck. How are you supposed to live off of that? So always look out for other options, because even though employer coverage, yes, is convenient, not always is it going to be the best fit.
Well, I think that's the biggest, what you just said is so golden right there, because I don't think people know they have an option.
Yeah.
Or that it could be a more affordable, better fitting option. I don't even think that that's, common knowledge that exists.
Another thing that I had a question the other day, someone said, well, my employer says I have to take my employer coverage. No, you do not. You can definitely opt out. But this employer was trying to tell her employee that they had to, yes, in fact, take the employer coverage. And it's like, no, you don't have to. You're not bound to taking that. There are other options. And if we can look at those other options if you want. So
that's very good to know. I think some employers are uneducated. Well, most of them are uneducated on the laws as well, because they think that if they're not covering their employees, that they're going to be penalized. Because there was a time, I remember, like even 3 or 4 years ago when I was in corporate, that was a situation. Like my boss was like, oh my God, you have to make sure you document that we're offering this so that we don't get penalized. But what, he did understand that if they didn't take it, it wasn't hurting him as long as he was offering it. Yeah. But I don't think a lot of employers know that because they don't pay attention.
Yeah.
Then you're like completely misguiding your employees, which is
you are. I see it all the time. It's so sad.
Oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, that's so bad.
I'm like, just hush, let me take over it.
Right. We have a question from Rick. Is there insurance or something that helps pay for preventative care, getting tests done to make sure everything is kosher?
Yeah, of course. That just kind of falls under a well visit. Preventative care, well visit. Absolutely. Oh, that's all I really had to say.
I thought I was going to interrupt you.
No, you're okay.
Like, for example, Rick, so I have just general coverage and I was having shoulder issues and I had to go get an x-ray. I got a cortisone shot. I got a steroid shot, some weird concoction they put in my arm. I had to go get an MRI. I had to do all those things. And they paid for that. Like, I mean, I had to pay a small portion of it because my deductible wasn't met yet, because I'm really bad about going to the doctor. But that's the same scenario, basically. Am I right, Meg?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, depending on like the type of plan that you go on, you're going to have an in-network discount that's going to automatically shave off in between, 40 and 60% of that bill. Then you kind of go from there. I can't give you an exact price because each doctor's office is going to charge different prices. But yeah, it's really just going to kind of be coded under a well visit at the end of the day. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, like going to the doctor every year, you usually pay copay.
Yeah.
And that's the same similar situation. So,
and most plans give you, 2 to 4, well preventative visits per year. So absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely, Rick, that's what they prefer you to do. They'd rather you be having those well visits and that preventative care than never ever going and having, this like astronomical situation come up. And obviously we as human beings want that too. So we can try to catch things before they get really bad.
Absolutely. That's why we have our well visits.
Right. Exactly. So yes, great question. Great question. I think let's see.
I know we have all these people watching.
I know. I love it. Thank you guys for being here. And I think, you know what, there's the other thing. I don't know that anybody knows really what to ask.
And that's okay. If you think of something at 2:00 in the morning or a couple days from now, my information will be linked below. Just shoot me a phone call or an email and I'll answer your questions.
Yep, that's the beauty of it. That's why I made this too. And if any of you guys like jumped on late, we talked in the very beginning just about like why it's important, which obviously some of you know and some of you maybe don't know. And we talked about a lot of other things too, just very broad, like, hey, here it is. Let's lay this out here for you. It's not, and there's the other fun part. Like, I think there's a couple of different scenarios where people think it's like a big secret, and healthcare or health insurance is one of them. Like accounting is one of them. Financial advisors is one of them. What's the other one? It was taxes. Everyone acts like all of those categories are like this big secret that no one's going to tell you the truth about. And you're supposed to be kept in the dark. And that's another big reason. And I was like, fuck that. No. We're not keeping anyone in the dark, and I don't have the information. So I understand it. I know someone said, well, how do I get the best guidance? And it's like, you just have to find the right person to work with. Like, talk to multiple people, get a feel out for that agent, because there are a lot of agents who are sitting in a call center, who are reading off of a script, who are getting paid minimum wage, who don't care about their job. They're not going to care about you. Yeah. And I know you're not going to plug yourself, so I'll plug you for you. In my experience in this type of situation, find somebody who is an independent, licensed professional, because they're not out to meet a quota. They're not out to be, like following some specific guideline that they have to do per customer, because let's be real, none of us fit into a perfect box. It's just not, no matter how much, I try really hard to never fit in a box. Now, some people like to be there, and that's all good. But when it comes to checking things off like that, we rarely actually do. And so finding somebody who doesn't have an ulterior motive, meaning like other things that are getting them or keeping them in of what they're supposed to sell you. Yeah. So look for that word independent. If you see that, that's, a sure sign that you're going to get some actual, real and raw information, as far as I can tell you from my own experience.
Another good thing to look at is make sure they're contracted with more than just one carrier. Going back to captive agents, independent agents can still be captive. They only work with one company, and then they're just forced to do that, unless they want to go somewhere else. When you're a lot of these companies, unfortunately, have a lot of restrictions on them right now. Their company's not paying claims. They've got crazy term limits of 2 months. Every 2 months, you have to reapply. But a lot of these captive agents are not being honest. And that gets you kind of into a sticky situation. So another thing I like to tell people is find someone who works with a few different companies who are going to give you some more options, because I've seen it not a lot of times, but a couple times where, someone said, I was told I had this, but they don't in fact have that. But that agent, that captive agent, didn't want to lose that sale. So, they just kind of kept lying. And it's like, well, don't lie. Why would you do that? I don't understand it.
Like, how do you sleep at night after that, right?
Oh, it drives me crazy. And I've only seen it a couple times, but it still makes me sick to my stomach. So that's why I tell people, I'm like, find someone who works with multiple companies.
Mm-hmm. I used to have to deal with a lot of car insurance people in my past life. For those of you who don't know, I used to manage automotive shops. And so I dealt with a lot of insurance. And before that, I worked in insurance. So they do that all the time. I used to have a lot of agents, and I'd have clients crying in my place because their agent told them they had rental coverage and they didn't, and their car was going to take 3 weeks to fix, and that sort of thing. So definitely ask questions, pay attention. If it feels shady and you don't know, like, you can go ask someone else. Yeah. Just so you know. That's another thing I think some people think because they have one conversation with somebody that they can't, like, no one else is for who they need to go talk to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see. Kayla says, this is so awesome. Thank you. We think we're pretty awesome sometimes. Let's see. So Ryan's comment's really long, so I don't know if it'll show up here, the whole thing. So can you see these, Meg, or no?
I've just kind of got it pulled up on my phone. I'll kind of watch them as they're...
Gotcha. So thank you so much for dropping this knowledge. You're very welcome, Ryan. Independent contractor, and had no idea that I had options other than the marketplace. I'm tired of being forced into health coverage that doesn't fit my needs and costs an arm and a leg. Great point. And I'm so glad that we were able to shine some light on that.
Absolutely. That's what I love.
Yes. That is why this is happening right here, right now, because I knew that there's just a lack of information, unfortunately. Yeah. But it's just this.
And like I said, it's while I'm thinking about it, because I know, like, my network's in a lot of different states, Jamie's network's in a lot of different states. I am personally contracted in 20 plus different states. So if you are not in St. Louis, don't hesitate. Still reach out to me. Like I said, my business partner and I work in 20 plus different states. So we help a lot of people all over the U.S.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Yeah. And I don't even know, like, so people, me and Meg are both in St. Louis, basically. Like, we're sitting, somebody said it looks like we're sitting in the same room with the pictures, and it kind of does. Yeah. So we are not in the same room, but we are only, 45 minutes away from each other, probably?
Yeah, we're not far.
No, but you don't have to be in Missouri or St. Louis for either of us to help you, so.
Absolutely. We got clients all over the place. Yeah, Texas is one of our favorite states to work in. Texas and Oklahoma, the greatest people.
That's awesome. Look how your smile is so big. I love that.
I love getting Texas and Oklahoma people on the phone. They're just so nice.
That's awesome. It's the Midwest thing. You can't wait. Yeah. That's so funny. I was just talking earlier. See, I love just my favorite part about working with people everywhere is just the different terms and the different accents and the things that I'm like, what? What'd you say? Yeah. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
It's funny. I think, all right, guys. So I personally, I have asked a lot of questions of the ones that I had or that people had asked me. So if anybody has anything else, please pop them in. Again, we'll hang tight, but I'm just going to obviously keep coming up with random shit as I can. Okay. That's what I do. I'm like, oh, that's a good question.
Absolutely.
Let me think here. Just trying to look. I know I had a woman. So for example, if somebody owns an LLC and they have contractors that work for them or people who work for them, that they feel like they need to insure. Like, for example, I have a client who does house cleaning, and she has employees that work for her, and they go into other people's houses, and she was kind of concerned about that. And I was like, well, you should definitely talk to your business advisor and just kind of see where they think you should go. But is that something that falls in that same category, or, because I really don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. We work with businesses on all sorts of scales. We work with a lot of small businesses, some businesses that have 100 plus employees. To actually do a group coverage plan, you do have to have 5 or more employees, but that doesn't mean you can't pay for your employees' coverage. What we do a lot is independent plans, because sometimes it does end up being a lot cheaper. Do independent plans, but it's all paid by the employer, and they deviate out throughout their paycheck. So yeah, it's absolutely able to be set up that way.
Well, and that's really nice. That's pretty awesome of you guys, because I think a lot of people don't offer that because it's time consuming to go and do, if you have 10 employees, going through and doing 10 specific personalized independent plans for them. Like, as an employer, that's kick ass of you to do for your people. And yeah, that's really awesome. That's definitely a great thing to provide. Well, like, what about liability coverage type of insurance? Is that something that you guys can help people with, or no?
Yes. I mean, you're talking about like key business partner, like insurance, like the life insurance aspect of it.
That's a great topic, but I was actually talking about, like, for example, say I have an employee that's working at my client's house, like that liability coverage. So if they were to be, they were to damage something, I guess that would be, I just totally confused the shit out of myself, I think.
Okay.
That would be covered under your business insurance. So I don't know that doesn't go in the same realm.
That'd be like business. But on the other side of that, if you have like a key business partner, life insurance, my business partner does handle that. So
yeah, that's a really great thing. We actually, Meg and I discussed before, I was the right hand to the business owner of the company I worked for before. And it was like a $4 to $5 million business. And I literally was his eyes and ears and everything for that company. And so he had a policy on me so that if I was injured or ever was deceased, that he would actually be paid my salary to replace me. And people are like, that's crazy. I'm like, no, that's smart.
It is smart. It's very smart.
Really smart. It's very smart, because he would have been shit out of luck, basically.
Yeah.
Until he found somebody or the 7 people that he hired after I left to do my one job.
Love it.
But yes, that is a thing, guys. If you didn't know it, it's a thing, and it's really smart.
It is very smart. I actually didn't know about that until I started studying, because when you get your health insurance license, you also have to do the life side of it. And so I did learn a lot. I love life. I'm so engulfed in the health part that I don't get to touch the life side of it that much. But one day.
Yeah.
But I think having
yeah. Well, and I feel like, you know what, the information that has been asked thus far about it is probably generally the information or the questions that you get asked. So you can at least give them a knowledgeable answer. And if they want to go further, then you have a great person for them to see, right?
Absolutely.
Let's see. I think we have. So Ryan says he's going to be getting in touch for sure to get some coverage locked down. So awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
We're happy we could help. Yeah. I'm happy we could help. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to probably wrap this up. I think if nobody has anything else that they want to ask, I'm going to refresh my screen really quick. It's so weird. It's not even showing the questions in order or the comments in order on my phone. Facebook's drunk sometimes.
Yeah, it's been kind of giving people trouble lately.
It has. When I'm doing the live from my phone, it doesn't allow me to see comments. I have to actually go on my computer to see them for some reason. But sweet. All right, you guys, I'll give you a couple more minutes. We'll hang for a second, and then we'll cut it off. Yeah. And then you guys, but like I said before on the replay, any questions, anything at all, pop it in. I'll put Meg's information. You guys can message her directly. If you don't want to put it in the comments, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
obviously.
Absolutely. There's a lot of questions that people don't want to put up publicly, and that's perfectly fine. Just reach out to me privately. I'll help you.
Yep. Good to know. I had somebody ask me today. They said, well, how do I know that when I give this or I have this conversation with this person about this personal item or this personal thing in my life, that they're not going to go talk about it to other people? And I said, well, first of all, you don't, like, even if you have a non-disclosure in place, like, people can do whatever they want, right? Mm-hmm. But most of the time, I just, like, if you're going to a professional and you're going to someone who does this for a living and you're discussing with them your private life, which is part of what they have to know in order to help you, you should, there's an agreement there.
Yeah.
Where there's not going to be like, oh, let me go tell you about so-and-so.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'll be openly honest, like, the only person that I would share, like, actual details with would be my key business partner, because he's been doing this for 10 years and he literally is an expert in the field. And there are some situations where I have to tell him, you know, this is what this prospect story is. This is what I have in my mind. Does this sound right to you? Because sometimes you have to get a second look, because you just have to get a second look sometimes. And so that's really the only person I would ever share detailed information with, is my key business partner.
Yeah, but it's in the same business. So I think that's me understood for sure. Like, that'd be like me saying that my assistant doesn't have access to my client's payment information.
Right. That's at the end of the day, like, I'm a professional. In order for me to find the best policy that's going to fit for you and your spouse, or you and your family, like, you're going to have to tell me things. Whether that's a prescription that you're embarrassed to take or a condition that you're embarrassed about having, like, tell me. I'm not here to judge you. Like, I'm here to help you. If you don't tell me, I can't help you.
That's a great point. Same thing like coaching. People come in and they're like, this is the only issue I have right here. I'm like, oh, really? Like, yep, this is the only
Let's peel back some layers.
And I'm like, really?
We'll try this again next time.
Yeah, so same thing. Like, you have to be honest if you want to get a result.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same scenario. I'm all about the metaphors or the comparisons there. So people are like, oh, that does make sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, guys. Jared says, great job. Very informative. Thank you for being here, Jared. We appreciate you. And guys, if you think that this is something that your friends, family, whomever would be benefiting from watching, share it. Like, this isn't just something that is for us. Like, you guys can share it anywhere. This is definitely for anybody who just wants more information in general.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Meg, for taking some time and being here. I appreciate you very much. Like, I love my people a lot. And so I want to be able to give as much help and information as I can. So I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I want to help as many people as I possibly can.
Absolutely. Sounds good. So guys, I'm going to update the body of this text as soon as I end the broadcast or this post, and put Meg's information up there. And I'll also post it in the comments. So you guys can, she'll be actually, like, her name will be hyperlinked, so you can click it and send her a message if you want, or we'll provide her website information too. So feel free to reach out. And you guys know, as always, feel free to reach out to me if you need anything as well. Yeah. So Thank you guys for being here. Have a great rest of your night.
Bye.
Bye.